Delighted to be here. I have been part of the Volunteer Leader of the Year award at HVG since a very cold meeting on a barge at the Canal and River Waterways Trust in Gloucester in March 2000 and I think 17, 18. And it's come such a long way since there. So I'm really happy to still remain involved in it. As part of that, we have now won the awards from 2018, 2019 and 2020. And we've seen individuals win from a variety of different organisations, from York's Museums Trust to the Whitworth to Leicester County Council Museum and Heritage Service. The three winners in the past, Nicola, Fiona and Fiona, have absolutely demonstrated the expectations that we have for individuals to innovate, collaborate, and to demonstrate their overarching commitment and passion to the sector. And those are the three areas, the three criteria that our internal and external panel looked at from the plethora of nominations that we had this year. So excited for 2021, and more information around the criteria is on the next slide. But this year we've seen international applications and nominations. We've seen joint nominations. And that's something that I really just want to get across, is that we're really flexible about this award. We want to make sure the award is meaningful for you and also for the volunteers and the communities that you serve. So there are so many opportunities for us to think innovatively, collaboratively and passionately about how we recognise success in the sector. I'm going to hand over very shortly to Amanda, who will talk through the process in more detail. But what I can absolutely say is that the nominations we've seen this year have been inspirational. And they've been inspirational within that backdrop of COVID-19. And if anything I have observed from the sector over the last 12 to 15 months is that innovation, collaboration and passion has had just additional focus, additional meaning and additional impact. So I cannot wait for all of you, because I already know, to find out who the Leader of the Year award is. And so I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Amanda, who's going to talk you through more of the process. Thank you so much and see you later.
Thank you, Tamsin. Can you hear me? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so hi everyone. Thanks for the introductions. I'm the Volunteering and Participation Manager for Leicestershire County Council Museum, Heritage and Library Services. I sit on the National Heritage Volunteering Steering Group, and I set up and chair the East Midlands Heritage Volunteering Group. I've been a volunteer leader in the heritage sector for 25 years, and a member of my team, Nicola Syker, was the first ever winner of National Heritage Volunteer Leader of the Year back in 2018. And I really do believe that the recognition and the platform that this award provided paved the way for significant strategic changes and new commitments in favour of cultural volunteering in our department and in the council, which I will always be grateful for. And this award is therefore very close to my heart. I've been part of the project team for it, led by the fabulous Tamsin, ever since, and I am delighted to be announcing the winner today. Matt opened this year's conference yesterday, suggesting that as volunteer managers, all of us hopefully have the opportunity to recognise, to reconnect and to reimagine volunteering. He reiterated that today. And the nominations for this year's award have definitely demonstrated how volunteer leaders across the UK have been striving to do this in many different and diverse ways throughout the pandemic, and in many cases excelling in these efforts. We have done this in ways that are good for our communities, good for our sector, good for the organisations we represent and work for, and good for the volunteers. And I'm absolutely sure that this conference and this year's award will support us to continue on this journey. The more approaches and examples we can explore and share and celebrate together, the better we can be together. So it's commonplace to hear members on any shortlisting panel describe the difficulty they have when choosing a winner. But this year, Rhiannon Green, Claire Haggerty, Rob Jackson, Philip Newton and myself have definitely found it tough, but in a wonderful way. The nominations, as Tamsin said, were inspiring, and I can honestly say I have never been prouder to be a heritage volunteer leader. Now, I'm sure that there won't be any of us who were recruited to a job description which stated, throughout a national pandemic, your role as volunteer manager will require a complete change in strategy, a flare of creativity which sees you inventing new ways to go above and beyond for the well-being of your volunteers, the need to adopt an even more resilient approach than usual, which enables you to react and respond according to national directives. Oh, and there'll be absolutely no precedent. And please note, you won't be asked to be a trailblazer, you will just naturally get on and do it. And all of this is what this year's nominations highlighted. We took it upon ourselves to rise to the challenge of being caring, compassionate, creative, inspirational leaders because we care about what our organisations stand for and because we want the best for the volunteers who dedicate their time and their energy and their commitment to supporting us. So as Tamsin highlighted, this year's nominations came from across the UK and beyond. If you could move on to the next slide, we can see some of the amazing people who were nominated. Look at those faces. And some of the words used to describe these volunteer leaders, there's even more on the next slide, are tireless, remarkable, determined, selfless, patient, sensitive, influential, flexible, proactive, passionate and transformative. So the shortlisted people for this year's award are Trevor England, Vintage Carriages Trust, Megan Mitchell, the Churches Conservation Trust, Rosie Klutz, Kipling Hall and Gardens, Pay Hayes, Showtown Blackpool, Bev Carroll, Showtown Blackpool, Lucy Williamson, the University Museum of Zoology, Cambridge, Cheryl Lyer Broadbutt, Newington Green Meetings House, Lily Daniels, the Churches Conservation Trust, and there's more. There's Ina from Association of Cultural Managers, Annabelle and Anne from the Churches Conservation Trust, Denise Murphy, the Captain Cook Memorial Museum, Mark Whitfield, Canal and River Trust, Marina Spiteri, Museum of London, Mia Sturridge, Polar Museum, and Anya Jane, Museums of the University of St Andrews, and Esther Lisk-Carew, Manchester International Festival. Now, as Gabrielle mentioned yesterday, we have all had personal challenges in amongst navigating our roles. So again, some of the achievements submitted on behalf and demonstrating the work of these volunteer leaders really are remarkable. The nominations showed how you developed and instigated quizzes, newsletters, coffee mornings, door visits, personalised letters, handwritten cards, new digitisation projects, social media content creation, bespoke activity packs, targeted online talks, fundraising campaigns. Some of you empowered volunteers to lead on these activities. Again, outstanding. The quotes shared in the nominations were also incredible. From heartfelt thanks from a volunteer following support after hospitalisation due to COVID, to being real inspiration to individuals and communities in a time of unprecedented need. Many of the people nominated wanted to make it very clear that volunteer leaders were definitely not doing all of these things for personal recognition, and that there was many unseen gestures where volunteer leaders went above and beyond, gestures we will never know about, but you do. So on behalf of those people who benefited from all of your kindness, thank you. Some endeavours brought about by heritage volunteer leaders have been instrumental in organisational and sectoral change. And as Ali said yesterday, not just so that we can recover, but so that we can come back stronger and more agile. So, the winner of this year's Volunteer Leader of the Year, and I'm reading this text straight from the nomination form, don't move the slide yet, Vanessa, passionately believes that there needs to be more opportunities to experience the stories of different groups that don't always get the chance to be heard, and that life is more interesting when you have a chance to view and discuss them. Our winner strongly advocates for underrepresented groups in the cultural sector and pushes inclusivity at every level. I would say our winner sets the tone for what we should all be striving for, both personally and professionally. The winner is, next slide, Volunteer Leader of the Year, Esther Lisk-Carew from Manchester International Festival. Now, congratulations. I'm sure we are all delighted that Esther is our 2021 Volunteer Leader of the Year. Now, I don't know if Esther is here today because we were told that it clashed with the actual festival, so I'm sure we can forgive that. But if you are here, Esther, you were nominated by Daniela Garcia, Volunteer Development Manager at the Imperial War Museum North, by Kate Lynn, Volunteer Coordinator, Manchester Museum, by Lee Ashworth, Volunteer Manager, Manchester International Festival. Now, in her role at Manchester International Festival, Esther is part of a team who coordinates 500 volunteers to help stage the festival in an array of practical support roles. Esther also leads on the volunteering collaboration groups, providing volunteers with a voice to input into decisions on topics including access, sustainability and volunteer experience. Now, the panels were looking for excellent examples of collaboration, as Tamsin said, working with others to create outstanding or transformative volunteer experiences. And Esther has demonstrated all of this by being an active member of the Cultural Coordinator Network in Greater Manchester for 5 years. But significantly, more recently, helped to set up Heritage Volunteering Group Northwest with Kate Glynn. This network provides peer support and aims to improve equality, diversity and inclusion for volunteer programmes across the Northwest. They also coordinate the Volunteer Culture website, which we'll share on the chat in a bit, showcasing volunteer opportunities and case studies. So all of this highlighted to us how Esther participated and has been instrumental in the setup of wider networks and other relevant sector bodies, demonstrating drive and focus. So the panel was also looking for innovation with the nominations, projects and activities that demonstrate or improve the practice of volunteer engagement. During lockdown, Esther organised unconscious bias training with Jess Thetty, CEO and founder of Intersectional Glam. So the panel also looked for volunteer leaders going beyond the scope of their role. Esther set up a successful and well-recognised podcast called Well Spoken Tokens. And we will share that with you also because apparently it's absolutely brilliant. Now, just to end, I rarely hear people described as tenacious. And when I do, I can't help but feel excited, both for what they have already achieved, but also what the future holds because they're a part of it. So everybody on the panel unanimously agreed that Esther is a strong advocate for inclusivity at every level, and her drive, enthusiasm and tenacity is worthy of this reward. Esther, if you're here or if you're watching this afterwards, you have definitely gone beyond what could reasonably be expected for somebody leading and managing volunteers. And you are a credit and asset to the sector and the profession. Well done, Esther. So on behalf of Leicestershire County Council, we would be delighted to offer you and up to 10 volunteers a free visit to either Bosworth Battlefield Heritage Centre or the 1620s House and Garden. So just get in touch with us. But I would also like to say that we have 3 highly commended. If you could go back 2 slides, Vanessa, because we really don't want to skip over these amazing volunteer leaders.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Okay, next slide, forwards. So commended Denise Murphy, Captain Cook Memorial Museum, and Mark Whitfield. Well done. Your nominations were amazing. I would go back and ask the people to have a read of them so you can pat yourselves on the back. Next slide. Highly commended, and this was such a difficult decision. Marina, Mia and Ananya, absolutely amazing, wonderful volunteer leaders. It was a really hard choice. So it would be great if you could come along to a Heritage volunteering group discussion or presentation at some time and share the amazing work that you have all achieved. So I'll leave it there and hand back. And congratulations, Esther, and everybody else. You're amazing.